Welcome back, everyone, to another episode of Southern Tomfoolery Unlimited, where we like to STFU for once and let our guests tell us all about the amazing and nerdy things going on in their lives. I'm your host, Zach Evans, joined as always by my good friend, Mr. Adam Kelly. Adam, how's it going, man?
On this particular day, I'm doing great. How about yourself?
I am also doing great on this particular day, sir, and I am very excited for our guest today. He is an editor and developer at Paizo, an English professor, writer, Arthurian scholar, lover of chocolate milkshakes, and Starfinder ambassador. Just some of the many hats he wears, Mr. Jason Tondro. Jason, welcome to the show. We're so glad to have you.
What a privilege. It's a delight to be here. And yeah, it's a really good day here, too.
It is a good
absolutely.
day.
It's a fantastic day. Yes, so I'm so very excited. We're going to talk about some Starfinder today, but first, we wanted to get kind of a brief rundown of your history with TTRPGs. I know that our good buddies over at MinMaxed went in depth with you about your first foray into creating TTRPGs with your Arthur Lives game. Listeners, if you haven't heard Jason's interview with MinMaxed, we urge you to go check that out. It's really good. So we're going to try to ask you some different questions in the interest of not having you repeat yourself.
Sure.
However, we here at STF do want to hear just a brief rundown of how you came to love TTRPGs and end up at Paizo as a developer.
Well, so the secret origin story, right?
Right, yes.
Well, my first role-playing game was the white box, the D&D white box. I didn't own it, but I was like in junior high, 6th grade. I was in 6th grade when it came out. And then I bought like one of the early basic sets, not the red box, but like the one that's like a couple of versions sooner than that. And I played D&D for a long time, and then when I hit high school, I got into Champions, and then, you know, so through high school, college, all that era, and I actually started to pitch stuff. I wrote some articles and I sent some submissions to role-playing publishers at the time, but we didn't have the open license, right? Like the D20 open license hadn't happened, so I kind of felt like I had to get published by other people. Well, the D20 license changed all that, right? And suddenly you could do it yourself. And increasing movements to PDF and print on demand, and all of these things sort of took all the gatekeepers away. So I put out some Mutants and Masterminds and D&D products on my own around in that early D20 era. But by that point, I was becoming an English professor. And that was kind of my day job, you know, and I loved it, and I loved doing it, but gaming remained my hobby. And then after several years of teaching at a small state college in rural Georgia, you know, I was kind of unhappy. I was feeling a little isolated. I'm kind of a West Coast liberal, you know, and it wasn't the students and it wasn't my colleagues, who were wonderful people, but I was just feeling kind of like maybe I had made some wrong choices along the road, you know?
Sure. Just the culture, the environment, not so much in academia, but on the periphery of that.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, we understand.
Yeah. Well, a dear friend of mine who lived here in Seattle and she works for Amazon. Well, she was also a former academic. She and I had gone to grad school together. But she had ended up going into, she's now working for Amazon as a science fiction, fantasy comics buyer. Like, she buys books. She decides what books they stock in their store. And she wrote to me and she was like, Jason, just get out. Like, just get out. You don't have to do that anymore. Yeah. And she sent me the link to the job posting at Paizo, which at the time they were hiring editors. They were hiring an editor, and they were hiring organized play developer. Well, I didn't even apply for the organized play thing because I didn't have much experience with that. That went to Mike Sayer, if you know Mike Sayer. Brilliant guy who's now on the Pathfinder 2 design team, which shows you how talented he is. Well, but I got the editor job. Like, I interviewed for it and I took like an editorial test. And 3 weeks later, I'm packing up everything I own and driving to Seattle, right? which was pretty crazy. And I was an editor for now by this point, I had like a lot of independent freelance RPG credits by this point, right? I had like 40 stuff on my resume.
Yeah, you've got a lot. As we were researching you, for sure.
I was a writer, or I was a developer, or I was an editor, or I was an art director, or I was even a publisher, right? So I'd kind of done it all, and I'd done some Kickstarters for a couple of stuff. And anyway, so I was an editor for about a year and a half, working under Judy, our amazing managing editor there. It was a fantastic team, and I learned so much about the company. You don't even, we play these games, right? But you don't really realize how the sausage gets made.
Sure. Yeah.
Until you're in the office every day, at the meetings, learning about production schedules and the whole 9-month production line, where between when we pitch a concept, those are my dogs in the background, please. When we pitch a concept to when we ship it to China to get printed, right? Hold on, let me see if I can get that.
The dogs just want to say hi too.
Yeah.
Now these are my dogs. So there's Otis and Miss Tessmacher here.
Okay.
Otis immediately started wagging his tail as soon as you said his name.
The orange football is a cherished object in this house because many Nerf toys we have bought and all of their squeakers have eventually been destroyed, except for the orange football, right?
It just remains.
Yes. So anyway, we're going to put that away. I know. Anyway, I was an editor for about a year and a half. And I learned a lot, and I became much better editor by the end than I was at the beginning. But it wasn't a very creative outlet, right? Like as an editor, your job is to catch mistakes. And it's a lot more than just catching grammar and writing problems. There's a lot more to that, but that's another show.
Like continuity and that kind of thing.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
Yeah. But it wasn't, and I was doing a lot of freelance writing for Paizo. Like I was writing Starfinder 18, Assault on the Crucible at this time.
Okay.
And I was contributing to a lot of our hardbacks and stuff, but I wanted to be in a creative job in my 9 to 5.
Sure.
And so I knew that Chris Sims, who was a Starfinder developer and a wonderful man, just a huge mentor role to me, and Owen Stevens, another fantastic leader in the gaming industry. They were both on the Starfinder team, and I knew they would both be leaving soon. Owen for this job opportunity in, I think, Indianapolis. Mm-hmm. And Chris Sims, his family was living in Austria. So I knew he was gonna want to go home to his family, his 2 daughters. They miss him. It's where he should be. Well, so I knew that there were openings on the Starfinder team. And I found Starfinder more compelling as a game because it didn't have that 10 years of backstory for me to learn.
Sure.
That you had to be reined in on, right?
I love being in on the ground floor of a new thing, right? So, and I've been playing it and I've been buying it, and I actually have been running a weekly Starfinder game in my home time,
Yeah.
Anyway, so I went to I went to Amanda, who was the manager of Starfinder at that time. And I said, listen, as soon as Chris Sims leaves, you're getting my resume on your desk. You can, they're ready for this, right?
Yeah, I'm here for this job.
Yeah. And Judy, who was my manager editor, she was great. She was totally supportive of this. She's like, what do you want to do? I'm like, I want to be a developer. She's like, okay, let's figure out how to help you do that, right? It's a wonderful environment. Well, anyway, so when Sims and Owen left, and they had 2 openings on the Starfinder team, well, the first one went to John Compton.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
John Compton's been the OP developer for 8 years, right? He's developed hundreds of Starfinder adventures. Adventures. So no one was going to beat him on a resume. Guys, you're embarrassing me. Anyway, so I was never going to get one job, but because they were hiring 2, I had a shot.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So I interviewed. We did a development test where they send you people that are interested in getting into the business might find this interesting. They send you about 8 pages of undeveloped material, like a monster and some feats and spells or whatever, or they send you an encounter from an organized play or maybe one of our APs.
Yeah.
And they tell you to develop it, right? Like make it better and fix it and catch all the problems that are wrong with it, right? And
okay.
my favorite bit of it was they gave me this monster, and it was basically a piece of a troll that had been chopped off and regenerated into a blob. It shows up in the Threefold Conspiracy. And it's just basically this chaotic evil, like Intelligence 4 man-eating blob, right? And okay, develop this monster. Okay. But then came the kicker, and to make it a playable species.
Oh my gosh. Yeah.
A piece I'm like, what? And of course the correct answer is no. Like we don't want an Intelligence 4 chaotic evil cannibalistic blob as a playable race, right? No.
Right.
So anyway, so you do the development test, you go through the interview process, and I got hired, and that was a year ago in September. So it was like Gen Con of last year.
Yeah.
Right. And I had been a developer for about a month, because as soon as I got the job, I took a 2-week vacation because I had all these I had all this time
doing it right.
Yeah. I had all this time piled up. And so, so I took my vacation. I came back, and I was back on the job for like 3 days when Rob McCreary came to me and he said, well, it's time to start talking about the next adventure path. And it's yours because Keely's done Devastation Arc, and also Threefold Conspiracy, which he kind of took over from Sims, who did like the first half of that before he had to leave. So you're going to be the lead developer on the next adventure path. And I've been on the job, like I say, for like less than a month. And so that was when I pitched Fly for Your Die. And I've been working on that AP for pretty much a year ever since, right? Yeah.
All right, well, that brings up the speed for sure.
A lot.
Yeah, Fly for Your Die, I think, will constitute the majority of this discussion, and we are going to get into that very shortly. However, just on a more general sense, I kind of wanted to get an idea, like, what are some of your favorite aspects of either TTRPGs or Starfinder in general?
Yeah. Well, these things are related because Starfinder, I think, has some unique audience and some unique appeal in the RPG space. For me, so we talk a lot. Remember when we were kids? Okay, now I'm older than you guys, but when I was a kid, and it was like the Mazes and Monsters era, right? When like the PTAs all over America, yes. Kids are getting
Satanic Panic, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And we had to defend role-playing games to our parents. And we would come up with all kinds of reasons for why role-playing games were good. And we would say, well, they teach you math, and they help you be imaginative, and they teach you about mythology, and all of that's true. Like, practically everything I know, I've learned because I had to learn it for a role-playing game, right?
Yeah.
So that's all true. But that's not, for me personally, the really good thing about role-playing games. The reason why role-playing games make the world a better place is because they teach us about other people's points of view, right?
Absolutely.
They teach us to empathize with other people, and they teach us to cooperate and work together. Like, you can't make it in D&D with just the fighter or just the wizard or just the cleric. Like, you need the whole gang. You need the band together, and you can only make it through the dungeon if everybody works together and nobody is an asshole, right? Like,
yeah.
And in our online culture, I think it's very easy for us to be mean and rude to people that we don't know. Like, they're just anonymous people on the internet, right? We can troll them, and but when you're sitting at a table, and you guys used to live close together, right? And now you know what I mean. When you're sitting at the table, like, you can't just be a dick to the person next to you, right? Like, they drove you, like, they're your ride home, man. or they bought you pizza or whatever.
Right.
It's easy when you can just push a button and leave the call, but it's harder when you're there face to face with them. And And this is the secret sauce of role playing to me.
Right.
This is other people have spoken about this too. I'm not the first person that's talked about this, but Chris Perkins goes off about how the world would be a better place if everybody just played more D&D, and he's not wrong.
No, I think who needs a therapist? You know,
and Starfinder. Now let's talk about Starfinder. Starfinder is unique because of its incredible diversity. Like in my opinion, this is like the fact that you can play like 100 different kinds of crazy aliens in this game has allowed people from traditionally underrepresented groups to see themselves in Starfinder, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
And maybe it's because of their race or because of their gender or their faith or who knows what. Like there's a million different ways that people feel marginalized in our society.
Yeah.
And Starfinder is like the X-Men. Like no matter what group you were from, you could identify with the X-Men because they were the outsider, right?
Right.
And whatever group you were an outsider somehow.
There was an X-Men there to relate to.
Exactly. You know? Yeah. And it's the metaphor. So Starfinder is like that. And to the company's credit, they have embraced this, right? So like our editorial team is so phenomenal at helping us make the game representative of the players so that when people come to play this game, they see in the game themselves, right?
Yeah.
And that's key. And I think that's part of what makes Starfinder really special.
Yeah, I mean, to kind of follow along those same lines, you know, and you've kind of touched on a little bit, you know, I've seen in social media and when you were hanging out with us at the online PaizoCon and everything, that you've often spoken about how adventure paths or TTRPGs in general have a unique opportunity to provide commentary on our society and the issues that we often have to deal with.
Yeah.
You know, you say that they can say something or that they have an ability to do that. Can you speak a little bit more about, you know, kind of focus in on that a little bit? Yeah.
So, you know, we often say we do this ourselves in the industry. Like I've been in meetings with my fellow developers and designers and they'll say stuff like, look, ultimately at the end, our game is we make a game about killing things and taking their stuff. Well,
yeah, I mean, yeah.
In some ways we do, but even the people that say that know that's bullshit. I'm sorry. Like I have to call shenanigans on this, man, because even the people that say that know that actually what we're doing, I mean, look, behavior becomes, it reinforces itself. If you're playing a character and you do good things as the character, this can help reinforce your own good habits in life and vice versa. Yeah. If you're playing a character who is a raging asshole and you're evil and you meet people and you treat them as nothing but resources for you to exploit, okay, that's wish fulfillment in the game, but maybe those are wishes we shouldn't be fulfilling.
Yeah.
And so if I go, I was also a college professor, and if I go back, if I can get academic for a minute, right? Like, forgive me for getting like all scholarly here, but back in the late 1500s, this guy named Edmund Spenser, he was an Englishman. He wrote this poem called The Fairy Queen. Now it's 1,000 pages long and almost nobody reads it anymore. But in the introduction to that poem, when he was telling the reader why I'm writing this, and he was actually writing to Sir Walter Raleigh, like Queen Elizabeth's, like, what, you know, one of her like favorite dudes and a pirate guy and all kinds of stuff. Anyway, and he says, look, there's basically two ways to teach. You can teach by rote, by which he means memorization. You get a professor up there, right, and they lecture at you and you're expected to take notes and memorize it all. But the other way is by heroic example. In other words, you tell a story and the person is so busy having fun listening to the story that they don't even realize that they're learning anything.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And we're not talking about facts. We're not talking about learning, like, you know, on what day did the Spanish Armada get sunk. We're talking about how the lessons of life.
Yeah.
How should I behave when things get hard, when life gets hard? And let's be honest, folks, life gets hard a lot, right?
Sure. Yeah.
Life is hard. And when we find ourselves in tough situations, how should I behave? Now, we have a lot of different ways to answer this question. We ask ourselves, like, what would Jesus do, right? Or what would one of our favorite role models do? What would Abraham Lincoln do? What would President Obama do? Like, whatever, whoever your role model is, right? Like, and we have a million of them. What would my parents do? What would my mother do? Like, these are fair answers. Well, this is all leading by example. And so role-playing games are a part of that long tradition in which we play these characters. We're invited to create an alter ego. They are placed into difficult moral dilemmas. They're placed in difficult positions where they have to decide whether or not they're going to do what is hard or what is easy. Mm-hmm. And 9 times out of 10, doing good means doing what is hard.
Yeah.
That's very true. I mean, and you know, to that, we chose Aeon Throne as our chosen path to start with for a lot of reasons, you know, and one of the major reasons is that, you know, we brand ourselves as Southern Tomfoolery, right? We're from the South and everything. Yeah. But we wanted to kind of establish that while we are from the South, we are here to punch Nazis in the face, and that's what we're going to do, you know? And and it was such a good opportunity for us to like dig in, kind of flex some of that as Southerners to give maybe a different perspective on some people from the South. And like, that's something that is so amazing about this medium is that we get to do that, you know, and as players we get to say something. So it's not just the writers who are kind of setting this up, it's really how the players interact with it, right? Okay,
because the game is dead until it hits your table, right? Mm-hmm. I can write a 64-page adventure, but until it hits your table and you play it, it's just words on paper, man.
Yeah.
And then you're going to bring it to life, and you're going to change it, and you're going to make it fit the 6 people at your table. And that's exactly the way it should be. Like, every adventure ever written should be thought of as a template, as a working draft, until you people run it at your table. And I'm glad that you talked about the South, because the South is not a monolith. Right. You cannot treat all these people the same. And it's a complex culture with complex people. And you guys are in Mississippi.
Based out of Mississippi.
And Mississippians are a complex people, and you know, one of you is from New Orleans, or that's where you live now, and New Orleans is a complex place. Like, the more we zero in, the more
it's a city made by pirates.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, and you know, it's funny that you mentioned Aslandy, the Aeon Throne. You the reason why you wanted to play it, that AP is very popular. We have reason to believe, and I can't get into details, that is probably the most popular AP being played.
Really?
Yeah. And if you think about that, not for the reasons you guys picked it, but for purely logistical reasons. It's first level. Mm-hmm. It's only 3 volumes.
Right.
Oh, gosh. Yes.
Right. So for a lot of people, like, I don't know if I want to get into this like 6 volume, year. And how long is it going to take us to play through that? A long time. And for the simple reason, and also it's in print, because the first volume of Dead Sons is out of print.
Okay.
Oh, wow.
It's out of stock. So it's just easier for people to get. They can jump right into it, and it's not as long of a commitment.
Well, I also think, just from a mechanical perspective, it's one of the easiest of the adventures to teach a table how to play Starfinder.
Yeah, you know? It's very self-contained, especially book 1 on Nacondas, and it's just like, it's a nice little mini sandbox. Yeah, and you get a good introduction to a lot of mechanics. Yeah.
I love that adventure. One of my first editing jobs was editing the 2nd volume of that, the prison.
Mm-hmm. Yes. That Eleanor wrote.
Yes. That's right. That Eleanor wrote. That's right. And I love that whole prison break sequence.
Oh, man. Yeah. That got us 10 juicy, intense episodes. Yeah, right. The Gulta prison sequence was a high point, I think, for us. It was so much fun.
I was editing that like the 2nd week or first week I was hired. Because when I was hired, they were working on Pathfinder playtest, the Pathfinder 2nd edition playtest. Gotcha. And so all of the experienced editors were working on that. And the new guy, which was me, was on everything else. So I had been in the office like literally for 2 hours, and they plopped the manuscript for War for the Crown, I think volume 4 or volume 5, in front of me, and said, "Do your best." Right? And it was a total trial by fire. So it was a great experience, though. Yeah, I love that. I love headlining at the Empire Film.
Yeah. So speaking of, kind of, what exactly do you say that you really like? Like, what are the nuts and bolts of what you do day to day at Paizo for Starfinder, Jason?
Okay, so as a developer, and the assembly line components to how an adventure or how an RPG product gets built were kind of pioneered by TSR, right? Back in like when they decided how is D&D going to get made, and the division between an editor and a developer and a designer kind of got figured out then, and we've got a lot of roots in that tradition. So let's take Fly Fear Die as a specific example, okay? Can I use that as a specific example?
Sure.
So first, I pitch the idea, and I meet with my fellow Adventure Path team, and I pitch what the adventure path is going to be. And I actually had 3 or 4 different ideas. And Rob, to his credit, asked me, which one do you really want to do? And I said, this one. And he said, I thought so. So then once it gets approved, I write an outline. And this is like a maybe 12 to 20 page document outlining every adventure in the path, with lots of all the supporting details and advice to writers that the writers are going to need, all the way down to figuring out the covers. Like, we figure out what's going to be the cover art before the adventure, months before the adventure's ever written.
Really?
Yeah. Because the art team wants a lot of time to find.
Oh, okay, sure.
And all that. Anyway, so then once I outline it, that has to get approved, and then I hire writers. So then I go out and I hire 6 adventure writers, and I have to recruit them, and sometimes that's easy and sometimes it's hard. It was pretty easy for this one. BJ wrote the first one, BJ Hensley. Then Leo Glass, who was an editor at Paizo, wrote the second. Joe Pacini was the third. And then I got a bunch of new people that hadn't done Adventure Path volumes before for volumes 4 through 6. Well, anyway, so you recruit the authors, you get them contracts, and then you wait. Now, I've got a lot of other stuff to do in the meantime, but while I'm waiting for those manuscripts to come in, I'm developing the back matter of Devastation Arc.
Okay.
Conspiracy. So Keeley and I, we swap every AP. So I'm doing the adventures for this AP, and then Keeley will do the adventures for the next AP, Horizons of the Vast. And I'll do the back matter on that, and then we'll swap. Well, anyway, so then the manuscripts come in. Now, then that's where the rubber hits the road, because now I've got like 35,000 word manuscripts, 6 of them, right, to develop. Now, the developer's job, you'll hear different people describe it differently. Luis Loza, you probably know, he describes it as like just turning the adventure up a notch. Like we get it, and then we just try to make it a little bit better. If we try to make it if we get a 10, we make it an 11. If we get a 7, make it an 8, right? Like we just try to make it a little bit better. Keeley, who I work with, describes it as like we take the jewel that you've given us and we put it in the setting. Like we polish it and we put it in the setting. We make it look really great. My job as a developer is, on the one hand, to catch all the mechanical problems, look over the adventure, make sure that it's a good adventure. Is it balanced? Does it get us where we need to go in terms of XP and treasure and all that stuff? Does it have any major plot holes that we need to fix? But I also describe it a lot as a kind of a continuity issue, because I've got, for example, a lot of recurring characters in Fly Free or Die. This is a big issue in this AP. Characters that you meet in Volume 2 are still important in Volume 6.
I think that's awesome, because often that's not the case. Often each adventure kind of feels separate from the other.
Single-serving friends, if you will.
And the reason why is because it's really hard to do.
Right.
Because I hired 6 different writers, right? And all they have in common is the outline. And maybe we make a Discord channel where people can share ideas and stuff. But the person who's writing Volume 5, they never see the manuscript for Volume 2. There's no time.
Right.
So my job is to make sure that Darth Vader talks the same way in issue 1 as he in movie episode 1 as he does in episode 6.
Yeah.
Right. And so I'm there to kind of make that continuity. And when I pitched Fly for Your Die and this idea that you would meet, for example, in the second volume, you meet this crew of like a rival crew with their own starship, and they carry cargo, and they're basically doing the same kind of jobs you're trying to do. In fact, they're stealing your jobs half the time, right? And so there's like sort of rival crew. They're not villains. They could be if you decide to make them villains, right? They're rivals. And how you treat the rivals determines how they treat you. And maybe you guys get along, maybe you fight over contracts, maybe you do both. Maybe it's knives out when the credits are on the line, but then you go home and buy him a beer in the cantina. However you decide to play it, well, that matters as the AP goes on and those characters continue to recur. And at one point, when you're really down on your luck, well, that's when this rival crew shows up. And it's like, okay, well, if you helped us out before, well, we're going to pay it back, right? Because what goes around comes around. Character matters.
Yeah.
Being a good person matters.
Absolutely.
I love that. Like a consequences of choice is great.
But if you stab them in the back before, well, then they're just going to point and laugh at your hard luck now, right? They're going to try to take advantage of that hard luck because why not? That's how you've told them the universe works.
Yeah. Awesome.
Interesting.
Fascinating.
Yeah.
So, I have a question on here that I feel like we've kind of touched on already, but I wanted to maybe expound upon it if we could. And I wanted to ask, what do you think Starfinder brings to the table that's unique to the TTRPG world? And like I said, you kind of touched on this a little bit with its diversity. Is there anything else? Because I think there's a lot of things that are really unique about Starfinder, but what do you think?
There are. It's interesting because when you think about the space fantasy RPG genre,
right?
Well, what are the space fantasy games? Well, there's Star Wars. I think that qualifies.
Yeah, Star Wars.
I mean, they're space wizards, right? Mm-hmm. But there are some old school games, right?
Which I don't even know about. Yeah, which are way out of my wheelhouse.
But really, there's not a lot. Like there's more space games. Like there's a lot of sci-fi.
Mm-hmm.
But a lot of those are all like intellectual properties. They're big brands like Star Trek or the Alien RPG or
Cyberpunk or something. Like that,
and so Starfighter is kind of uniquely positioned right now in that space fantasy marketplace. Now, there have been other competitors that compete with Starfinder directly, like there's a 5e kind of in 5e in space game, but they're not backed with the kind of muscle that Paizo can back Starfinder.
Right.
We put out Adventure. I am currently developing Adventure Path Volume 42.
Wow.
Yeah.
That no other sci-fi fantasy game can compete with that.
Well, no, I mean that's 100% what drew us to Starfinder to begin with, because we were 5e players, for a long, like when we first got into TTRPGs, as a lot of people do, we started with 5e and we played the hell out of it. We played it till we broke the seams, and then we're like, we need something else, and we're all big sci-fi nerds, but we all like our magic and our sci-fi, And I started looking at Starfinder and I was like, y'all, this is what we're going to do. And that's where we went, and we haven't looked back. I mean, Starfinder is easily Southern Tomfoolery's favorite game.
Before the show, you were talking about how you guys do like a homebrew game, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, I think there's a lot of people I think that use Starfinder to do their homebrew stuff. But we've sold tens of thousands of copies of the core rulebook, right? So we know there's a ton of people out there that have the game. It's hard to adapt the Star Wars RPG to an original setting like that.
Yeah,
that game.
I wouldn't even want to.
You wouldn't even want to, exactly.
Yeah.
Now, to be fair, Fantasy Flight did put out the Genesis system, which is the fantasy, which is the Star Wars RPG with the Star Wars stripped out.
Okay.
And then a month later, they canceled all their RPG line, right? Like
they just shut down.
Yeah. But Paizo's committed to role playing, and so we can put out 2 or 3 hardbacks for the game a year, You've got multiple Alien archives with another one, probably coming out before too long. You've got books like the Character Operations Manual and the Starship Operations Manual that add lots of rule options for the game. Mm-hmm. You've got a setting like the Pact Worlds, but and near space, but you can ignore all that.
It can be anything.
I myself run a homebrew Starfinder game, and I don't use the Pact Worlds, and I do like this sort of Dune in space, like Game of Thrones with I said Dune in space. Dune is already in space. I meant Dune. It's like Dune with magic, or it's like Game of Thrones but in space, and I use Starfinder for it. And what other game system could I use?
Right. Well, I do think it fills a particular niche.
Yeah, but speaking of the Pact Worlds, we like to play APs. I think we're all just busy, and it's a lot easier for us to jump into an AP than it is to homebrew a game. So one thing that we've noticed is that you don't spend a lot of time actually in the Pact Worlds within these APs. So considering all of these different locations in the Pact Worlds, near space, beyond... Do you guys have any kind of system in place to decide we're going to showcase this planet or this planet eventually in this AP, or does it just come up when it comes up?
One of the things that we have talked about as we decide the future of the game, and this is where I'm going to allude to stuff I can't talk about.
Okay,
we spent the last 2 months meeting and talking about the future of Starfinder, and I have to tell you, you're going to want me back on the show because we are going to blow your mind.
We'll come back, please.
We have some really phenomenal stuff coming up that we have worked really hard on, and it's incredibly exciting. But let's get back to your question. One of the things that we've realized as we were doing this is that the setting is just really, really big.
Yeah.
Like Pathfinder's got one part of one planet. Mm-hmm. And that doesn't even hardly register in a Starfinder game. Right?
Yeah.
We've got all of these planets and so many people with all these incredible diversity and cultures. And it's hard actually for us to think up a threat that most of the players we even know will care about, because they're like, okay, so the swarm invades a planet, and the player's like, we leave.
right. There's 500 other planets.
Yeah, exactly. And we're like, okay, well, that didn't work, right? So yeah, it is. It's really big. But at the same time, it has kind of some anchors, right? Like Absalom Station is still kind of the center. Mm-hmm. Not only for story reasons, but we built a mechanical reason.
Yeah, with the Starstone, right.
And you're going to see that a lot in Fly for Your Die, because Fly for Your Die is like you got the starship and you're just trying to do jobs and get paid, right? So you're buying cargo on one planet where they've got a lot of it, and you're taking it somewhere else where they need it, and you're trying to sell it high, right? So it's basic supply and demand economics with the Starfinder in the Starfinder universe. Well, that means that Absalom Station, where everybody can get there in 1-6 days, is an incredibly important travel commerce hub, right? Because that's where you go to get a cheap cargo or sell stuff, right? Maybe they're not going to use an Absalom Station, but you can sell it to somebody else who can take it where they need to go.
Right.
So we spent a lot of time kind of going back and forth. A lot of this AP is set in the Pact Worlds, but we also spend the entire volume 2 is in the Veskarium.
You just made half of our cast so happy right now.
Yeah, we go to multiple planets in the Veskarium. It's this whole and at first it seems like it's just like you're just doing jobs, but as you adventure in the Veskarium, you kind of trip into this conspiracy plot line.
Nice.
It's been a very and to the writer's credit, that was all Leo's idea. Like I wrote when I outlined the second volume, it was just like, okay, there's a phrase in story writing what we call picaresque, where it's just kind of like Star Trek, the original series, where Planet of the Week kind of episodes.
Yeah.
You go to a planet, you have a story there, and then you move on to the next planet. And that's kind of what the first outline for volume 2 was. And Leo was like, well, that's okay, and that's all good and all, but maybe if we could get this thing some kind of satisfying payoff at the end, it would feel a little bit more like a volume and not just a bunch of scenarios kind of all strung together. And I'm like, you are right. So
Yeah.
So, and this is one of the beautiful parts of the job, right? Where you get to have this interaction with people, and good writers bring things to the table that you had no idea they were going to bring when you hired them.
Absolutely.
Well, anyway, so you asked, like, well, so how do we decide where the thing is going to be set? And that often, I think, comes down to the pitch. Like the developer, the lead developers, we've got a list of ideas, of AP ideas that we'd all like to do. And we talk about it, we pitch it, and we finally settle on one. And maybe if we've been to a place recently, we decide to avoid it. Like, we've done we did the Islandi Empire for a while, so let's leave them alone. Well, but we only did low level Islandi, right? So,
yeah, right.
And that's hard to do because a lot of the Islandi is really tough. Like an Islandi trooper is like CR3. Well,
I know when I told them, like, you guys are facing the Islandi Empire, and they're like, but we're only level 1.
We had to make all these like Islandi Empire rookies and like cadets and stuff, right? To rationalize.
Yes. Yeah.
Well, I'm working on a project now, which I cannot announce, but there's high level Islandi Empire in it, right? And
Nice.
and you can fight the Islandi troopers, the Eon troopers, at the level that you should be fighting them at, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So anyway, long story, but I hope that answers a little bit.
Yes, it
Yeah,
does,
it does.
absolutely. And I have one more question, just general Starfinder, and then we're going to really dive into Fly Free or Die. But do you have a favorite class in Starfinder, Jason?
Solarian until
Solarian.
I die. Now,
Absolutely.
Now, it's funny because also though I have to say I have to stick up for the Envoy, because the Envoy gets a lot of shit because people are like, well, they don't do anything. Like, you know, they're often seen as a less powerful class. But when I start when I think of the games, of the movies and television that have inspired my Starfinder, practically everybody in them are envoys.
Right.
Yeah.
All the all the big captains and everything.
Yeah,
like
exactly. And like look at, until we came out with the biohacker class for in comm, like most of Serenity were envoys because you had like a few soldiers, right? But Kaylee, the engineer, she's not a mechanic. She doesn't have like an AI or a drone or anything like that.
Right.
She's a person. Well, the only class we had that would do just a person is the envoy.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So anyway, but I love the Solarians, and I love them because this idea, like, well, we have to make the not Jedi class, right?
Yeah.
Like the class that
Definitely not a Jedi.
definitely not a Jedi, but they have become so interesting on their own.
Right.
And it also, for a guy who like kind of hates the prequels, the Star Wars prequels, Solarians let me rewrite Star Wars the way I want them to be.
Nice.
I get to do Jedi right, and so I kind of like. So I dig the Solarians. I love the Kasatha culture.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Very interesting. Kasatha culture is very cool.
Tell,
a lot of fun.
You can tell they put a lot of time and energy into that before I came on board. So yeah, kind of my favorites, but
Yeah,
I like playing them all.
Yeah, well, as someone who plays a mystic who took the Solarian weapon, is very, very Jedi as well in a different way.
Yeah.
It's closer to actual Jedi, I think, than even the Solarian, which is honestly has a more unique feel to it than a straight up Jedi does.
Yeah, it's really become its own thing, and I think you'll see we're adding more Solarian options in projects that are coming up.
Sweet.
Nice.
So you're going to see ways to maybe get a Solarian that feels more like that, like Jedi mystic kind of way. Maybe somebody who uses their weapons a lot less and relies more on supernatural powers or spells.
That's
so
awesome.
there's some interesting stuff coming up.
I love that their whole balance thing comes from stars rather than just like an ether of the universe. You know what I mean? Like, the mystics definitely get to play with the universal ether or whatever, but Solarians, it's like you can just do so much with that flavor of I'm about the balance of stars and the gravitation versus the push and pull of that.
Mechanically, the way that you're tracking your alignment every round, your attunements every round, I find that stuff interesting as a player. I like tracking my attunement and planning my attunement ahead.
Yeah, it gives you a little extra granularity of control.
Not everybody likes that level of complexity in their characters, and I totally get that. Believe me, I totally get it. But that kind of shit turns me on.
Yeah,
heard
for
that.
sure. Yeah, no doubt. Absolutely. All right, so let's move on to the main event.
Yeah, sure.
Fly Free or Die. This month marks the debut of the newest adventure path from Starfinder, Fly Free or Die. We are personally really, really excited about it. We know that you're excited about it, Jason.
Yeah.
So can you quickly, you've mentioned the pitch, so can you give us the elevator pitch for Fly Free or Die?
So this is a story that's not about people saving the galaxy. This is about people who are working class people just trying to like get along day to day in a tough galaxy.
Yeah.
This is about people like me and you, like people like our listeners. Like I wanted to write a story about ordinary people placed in really difficult circumstances that tests us. And all they want to do is just be left alone, right? Like the rest of us. Like I just want to live my life, man. Like just get off my grill. And so they're working class characters that come into the possession of an unusual starship, and they're just trying to pay their bills basically, but they're chased by like this crime boss, drow crime boss, works for the Golden League. And also their former bosses at the company. We made like this evil company, like kind of my Weyland-Yutani, right? Like for all of our Alien fans out there.
Right.
Yeah.
And it's called Edge Corp. Chris Sims helped me make it. And Edge Corp, or the company, as people that work for it call it.
Right.
And the company is as lawful evil as you can imagine, right? Like it's, and it's there to make money off of you, and it does not give a shit about you, right?
Yeah, so like a normal company.
I got to write, exactly. I got
every major capitalist company.
I got to write a scene where you get fired by an AI, and I'm like, man,
so soulless and impersonal. Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Exactly. So
like I can't wait for you to run this.
I can't wait either. Yeah.
So and in addition to your bad guys, like the corporate bosses who are after you and the Golden League crime bosses after you, you've got these rivals that you meet. And all the way, it's just kind of about you just trying to like do your thing, man. And other adventure paths go rags to riches. You start off at like level 1, and by the time you hit level 12, you're richer than Abadar Corp, and but this adventure path is not like that. This adventure path is rags to riches, to ruin, to revenge.
Oh, I love
so
it.
you start off poor, and then you get the ultimate job. Right, and you get the job that makes you filthy rich, and then you lose everything, and then you get revenge on the sons of bitches that took you down.
I love it. I'm here for it. I'm so here for it. Yeah.
So that's the AP.
Great. So what are you most excited about for the AP? Like what aspect? Is there anything in particular about it that really just draws you in, that you're super pumped about?
I mean, I have a unique perspective on it because I've been working on it for the last year, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Now, as a writer, any of you that are out there writers, you all know what I'm talking about. There comes a time where you work on something for a long time and you've peaked on it. You're like, oh, this is the greatest thing in the universe. And then you start to get a little sick of it. Right? Yeah. You've been working on it for a year. I don't want to. I really. There's a lot of great stuff about this. But my perspective on it is different. I've been really grateful by what the writers of the individual sections have brought to it that I didn't know I was going to get, and they've taken this outline that I gave them, and they've really and some of these things I asked them to do were really hard. Like just to give an example, like when you're. So like we've already described this idea that you kind of lose everything at one point.
Sure.
Right. Not every player likes that. Like the idea that you're going to lose everything and you're like stuck on Absalom Station with nothing but that laser pistol on your hip, and you don't have your ship, and you don't have anything. Well, that's a tough pill for a lot of player groups to swallow. And so I had to get a writer who could sell that, right?
Yeah.
And make it fun. And then you start calling up all your old friends or maybe your old enemies, and you try and find out like, okay, who can help me out? And if you've treated the theme of this adventure path ultimately is about how you treat other people, because as we talked about earlier in the show, that comes back around, right?
Yeah.
Right.
So when you're down and out on Absalom Station, and those people that you did good turns for back before when you were riding high, well, now they can come back and they can say, hey, listen, you helped me out when it was hard, and now I can help you. And you sort of cobble together, and you get this like rusted out junker starship, and you fly back out after to try to get your stuff back and to get revenge on your bad guys. But that's a tough adventure to write. Like that's not a normal Starfinder adventure, right? Like where's the dungeon crawl? Where's the where's the funny, wild, crazy ass shenanigans like that?
Yeah.
So I had some pretty tough pitches, and the writers really came through, and so I've been really gratified and impressed and humbled by the incredible catches that these writers have made to these really hard pitches that I've been throwing.
Gotcha. I like the metaphor. Yeah.
You're gonna for those of you that have been, one of the things we've got a lot of requests for over the years is for the economics of starships. Like, how much does it cost to fly my starship every month, right? Like, how many credits do I have to spend to build a particle beam turret? Like, I want to, all that. How much does it cost? All the financial stuff. Well, we get into all that in this AP. So you got a whole subsystem in the first volume for the mechanics of finding, buying, and selling and transporting cargo. And it all uses build points. So you use build points to buy cargo, and then you transport it and you sell it, and that's where your build points come from. Like your starship.
Oh, okay.
In other APs, when you level up, your starship just gets better. And
so this replaces that system.
Yeah, that's all replaced.
That's cool.
So now your starship only gets better when you get paid.
Oh, that adds like a whole like level of motivation to do some of these things.
Yeah, exactly.
Right?
And if you get in a starship battle, you can salvage the enemy starship for some build points, right? That you can
love it.
Yeah.
I mean, you slipped right into our next question. Good. We were going to ask you about what new mechanics can we expect from the adventure, and I think it's mostly going to be starship focused, at least in the early stages.
There is a lot of starship stuff. Now the new mechanics are the trade system, right? Mm-hmm. So, and it's got everything. It's also got some story hooks built in there. Like there's kind of like a random job table, right? So, So to help build, the idea was like, okay, a good job should also be an adventure. Like you should have a story. So like maybe a one session, we buy this, we pick up the cargo, we transport it, we sell it. I forgot to we have to find the cargo first. We find it, we buy it, we transport it, we sell it. And at all of the stages, something interesting could happen, right?
Cool. Yeah.
So there's a lot of that, and we illustrate. We also built in a bunch of side jobs. So this is the first AP where you're going to see little mini adventures in the back.
Yeah, because I don't think in any of the Starfinder adventures that I've read that there is much side quest happening. It all's pretty streamlined.
You're going to get them in here. So every volume, I think, except for the last one, every volume's got 2 or 3 of these side jobs, which are like 2-page spreads. Right, in the adventure path, so you'll get like an NPC or a map, and some encounters that the GM can expand if they want to, and they're just kind of like little side quests that are there for you. And we don't have room to give you all the details on it, right? But we give you enough that the GM has a skeleton to work with.
And can expound upon that themselves if they want to.
Exactly. And relate it to the players at their
You can use that to tie in backstory things if you want, like all kind of stuff like that.
And they're all optional. Like you don't need to do any of them. But if but let's say that your players start falling behind an XP or you don't have enough build points to get in that starship battle, then the GM knows that the players are falling behind. So then they just do a quick side job or something and get them caught up.
Awesome. So, with Fly for Your Die being such a starship-focused AP, can we expect a lot more starship combat, or is it really more about the focus of the personality of the ship and upgrading the ship, or is it a little bit of both?
Well, I'll tell you, I got a lot of mileage out of the Starship Operations Manual for this AP, right? It's not all combat. Like there's a starship chase system in Starship Operations Manual, and I use the hell out of that. And not all for what you think we use it for. Like at one point, like in Volume 5, you're trying to get onto the space station, right? Like the person you're after is on the space station. Well, you got to get onto it. Well, it's got like laser turret defense systems, and it's an asteroid field, and there's all this. Well, so we run getting onto the station as a starship chase mechanic.
That's so cool,
right?
Yeah.
So if you succeed in the chase, then you land on the station, and if you fail, then you get driven off by the defenses. And if you barely succeed, then you crash land.
Yeah.
and you walk away, but your starship won't fly anymore, right?
Right.
Yeah.
We've got so there's a lot of different there's some boarding actions because Starship Operations Manual gave us rules for boarding parties.
Right.
That's kind of what I was hoping or thinking would be the case, that Fly Free or Die is going to just really use all that great stuff that the SOM gave us, because there's so many things in there that just expands the Starship system to something a little bit more robust. I mean, because I know some people struggle with Starship combat and making it fun. I know that we love it, but it took us some time to wrap our heads around it and get adjusted to it. And with the Starship Operations Manual, it feel like it just finished the Starship world, and like what you can do with it.
But to get back to the other part of your question, I do think though that a lot of it is just living on the starship. Like a lot of it does come down to the characters and the interaction and kind of making the starship into a character. When we talk about Firefly or the Millennium Falcon, or the Enterprise, these ships have a kind of identity of their own, right? They have kind of a personality. Now, sometimes in Starfinder, that becomes literal. Like my old coworker Liz, her character was the Sunrise Maiden for a long time in her ongoing Starfinder game, where she was playing the Sunrise Maiden with an AI. That was her PC.
Yes.
But Fly Free or Die isn't really like that. The starship, at the moment, at the way we design it, the Oliphant is the PC starship. We need that for the Oliphant of John Delay from Pathfinder. Yep. But the Oliphant doesn't have an AI, doesn't really have a voice, but we're trying to give it a character, right? Now, all we can do is give it to the GM and the players, and then it's kind of up to them to really bring it to life, right?
Sure.
But we give them this interesting starship, and it's got a cool history, and it's got a really great design. Leo Glass just knocked it out of the park on the multi-deck design of the starship. Starships in Starfighter kind of bug me because too often they're just like this one great big flat one deck, right?
Yeah.
you look at the starship maps on the inside of APs, they're often just kind of rectangular and kind of
just like a barrel.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. But we've got this really cool, interesting design. So it's a little asymmetrical. So it's got a little Star Warsy kind of feel to it.
Oh, cool.
It's got like a turret and a bridge deck and a main deck, and there's the cargo bays are bigger on the inside than they are on the outside, and so it feels so it's also uniquely Starfinder in that way.
Yeah.
And then we've got lots of encounters that take place on the ship, right?
Great.
So you're doing like, well, I don't want to spoil anything, but let's say there's a lot of action on the ship, right?
Yeah.
Nice.
So then it starts to feel like more than just a mechanic for us to go from cool thing to cool thing. Because just being on the ship is the cool thing.
Cool.
Yeah.
Like shifting gears a little bit, but like within the context of Fly Free or Die.
Yeah.
One thing that often comes up in discussions around our table is the early level grind. We debate back and forth about the necessity of early levels, especially after being experienced, and you kind of want to, when you've played a bunch of games and you want to start a new one, you want to jump in at level 3 where you actually get your kit as a class, as it were.
Yeah.
And we're curious, as almost all of the APs that come out start at level 1.
Yeah.
What are the types of things that you do or conversations that you have with your team to help make those early levels still feel engaging rather than just a waiting game to get to the quote unquote?
First, I'll note that we talk about this exact issue, right? Like this is not, you would see a lot of nodding heads if you were in one of them.
Good. I'm glad to hear that.
But there's also a lot of resistance to starting an adventure path at third level. I kind of feel like new player, you guys are experienced. You've been playing the game, for a year or two. I don't even know how long you guys have all been going, but quite a while. Yeah. And so we feel like, but a lot of people are new to the game, and we feel a little reluctance to start an AP at any level other than 1. Now, but let's get back to your question. So my approach to it on Fly for Your Die was a little bit different, because I actually really wanted to embrace that low level. Because in many ways, what you describe as a grind is exactly the mode of play that I want the campaign to have. Like, you are working class characters, right? Like, you're space truckers. It should not be easy, and you should not feel rich. Like, let's be honest, in Starfinder, you accumulate credits as you go up in level, and it doesn't take too long before the incidental costs of living are, you can ignore them. Like, they're trivial, right? Like, you don't have to worry about where your next meal is coming from. You don't have to worry about how we're going to pay rent this week, because you've got gear on you that's worth the price of a small moon. So I wanted to kind of those early levels are when, in many ways, the most authentic to the feel of Fly for Your Die. And then it's later when you start to get really powerful and you have lots of weapons and class features and you're throwing around higher level spells, that I, as the developer of the campaign, start to feel the theme getting stretched. It's really hard for the players to feel like working class heroes when they're 7th level and throwing around, high level abilities. Or let's go middle level abilities, let's say.
Yeah.
So I really tried to kind of embrace that space truckers kind of feel for the first few levels. And I encourage players to give it a shot and try and identify with the struggle. And I don't mean to get all masochistic here, but life is hard for your characters, just like life is hard for us. And ultimately, but at the same time, we try to make it, and we give you a really interesting story. So the mechanics are simple. You feel like, well, I don't have all of my cool abilities yet, but I still got a cool story, and I got cool NPCs to interact with, and I'm doing cool shit. So maybe I'm only 2nd level, but I'm still doing really cool shit. And if you can get that, if you can get a good story, so you feel like, well, I'm an underdog, right? I'm punching up, and that's a good feeling. And maybe we can capture that for the low levels.
Well, I mean, I'm on the side of this discussion in full agreement with you, Jason. I mean, but I'm also the GM, so I'm like, you guys just hold your horses. You're gonna get to level 3, but I want to know who you are as people before you become a stat block. You know what I mean? And like,
what I would like to see is maybe more rapid advancement through the lower levels, right? Because you guys played 5e, you know what I'm talking about, where you've got like milestone advancement, where you play for 1 session, you play for 4 hours, and you level up to 2, right? And then you play another couple of sessions and you level up to 3. That's not how our game works, but I have thought, and we have been talking a little bit about maybe what we've thrown options around.
Right.
Yeah.
I think for this particular campaign, the low level struggle is important.
It is.
And that's why we put this question here instead of in the general Starfinder, because I do think it's probably more significant here.
Normally I am of the mindset that I want to start at level 3. I want to be a hero. I want my cool kit, and I want to start doing cool stuff right away. But I will say that your argument specifically with Fly for Your Die has convinced me to embrace that low-level struggle, for sure. I think that's a compelling argument.
To give you an example, and we're going to get a little bit in detail here, you spend the first volume of Fly for Your Die as employees of the company.
Okay.
And so they're kind of your corporate bosses. Well, but then by the time when you hit level 3, now you've got your own ship and you have quit or been fired, depending on who you want to talk to, right? So that transition that you're talking about from level 1 to 3 becomes a milestone for the character. Like, I was level 1 and 2 when people were telling me what to do, but now I'm level 3 and I'm my own boss, right? And so that becomes now, and that's an important transition. And I feel like we can give the mechanical movement some story and narrative weight.
Well, I mean, that's aside from our discussions that Zach and I often debate about, one thing that we do agree on is that we try to make every mechanical decision that we're making as players for our characters have some narrative reason or legitimacy, that I don't just get this cool thing because that's what I get next on the list. It's like, here's the story that drove this character to have this new ability or function or whatever, you know.
It sometimes that's really hard.
Yes, it is.
but I think it's a testament to our native desire to tell stories out of everything, right? Like you can give a kid like 3 random objects and leave him alone for a half an hour, and he'll have a story about these 3 random objects.
Yeah.
Right.
And that's kind of what we do. We get these mechanics and we try to take these mechanics and we make them into a story. We are storytelling creatures.
Sure. Yeah, absolutely. So how many levels does the AP cover? It goes from 1 to 12?
It's a traditional AP in that sense. It goes from 1, you should be 13th by the end. Okay. And you level up right before the final boss fight, so you'll get to use your level.
Oh, very nice. Yeah. Very cool. Yeah.
And it's a great boss fight too. I can't even tell you about it, but I just
finished. Yeah, I know you can't. I don't want you to. I don't want anybody to spoil it. Right?
I want to play it. You know,
it will blow your mind because I outlined it right, and I sent it to my author, Jessica Catalan, and she's so great. We would hire Jessica Catalan probably full time if we could, but she's got such a great gig, she would never do it. But Jessica wrote me back and she said, "Hey, can I do this thing for the boss fight?" And I'm like, "Holy shit, yes!" So
I can't wait.
An example of somebody coming up with a great idea that I would never have thought of.
That's awesome.
Right. That's the beauty of pulling in different authors, different talent.
I come from comics background. Like I studied comics as a professor and I taught comics. And comics is a collaborative process. You have the writer and the artist and the editor. And the 3 of them together are doing things that no individual person can do. And I think that really helped prime me for what I'm doing now as a developer.
That's awesome.
The challenge of how much to rewrite, like when we get a manuscript, and a lot of this isn't quite what I thought I was going to get. How much do I have to change it? And some developers are very proud of the fact that they change almost nothing. And other people are very proud of the fact that they change a lot.
Yeah.
But the truth, the real thing is that you have to judge every manuscript separately. And some of them need a lot of work, not because the author didn't give it their best shot, but for whatever reason, it didn't turn out. But other writers know the setting and they know the game mechanics better, and they can nail all that stuff, and you don't have to do that much development work. And every manuscript is its own beast, right? And some of them are heavy lifts and some of them are light lifts. And you learn a lot. Like you're constantly learning on this job, and which is great.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, I know that I'm personally very, very excited for Fly Free or Die. I can't wait for it. I think this is going to be a lot of fun. So, real quick, what's next for you, Jason? I know that you have a podcast out. Do you want to talk about that for just a second?
I do this Star Trek podcast every week where I play the dumb guy that doesn't know shit, and I ask smart people to explain the latest episodes to me. But that's Space Force. It's part of the Banff podcast channel.
Awesome.
And we're on our 3rd season right now. We did Picard first. We started with Picard, and then we did all of the films, all 13 Star Trek movies. And then now we're on Discovery. So we're on the 3rd season of Discovery right now. And it's a great show. Like I love Discovery. It's gotten better with time. But anyway, as far as Paizo goes, I am helping Jason Keeley develop Horizons of the Vast, which is
that sounds cool as hell.
Well, it is our Kingmaker in space, right?
Okay. Yeah.
And there's a whole nother show we could get into on that, but we threw this idea around in a lot of different ways. Fans have been asking for Kingmaker in space for a long time. We all wanted to do it, but it's got a lot of challenges how to do it, and we all kind of had our own different ways to do it. Well, Keeley finally cracked it, and he made a pitch on it that Rob approved. So I'll be helping out with all the back matter stuff, right? Doing all the Adventure Toolbox. And we're moving to the Adventure Toolbox format. If you have been reading P2, Pathfinder 2nd edition, you saw that Adventure Paths kind of changed the way that they present stuff in the back. This is kind of inside baseball stuff. But anyway, I'll be doing all the Adventure Toolbox stuff, all the new gear and new spells and new monsters.
That kind of started a little bit with Attack of the Swarm, huh? I know at least in the first book volume of that, there's a whole back section that like, okay, here's all the stuff that you would get as an SDF.
Well, what you're talking about is the player's guide.
Right.
Well,
this is different than the toolbox then?
Well, so what we learned, so in the first volume of Attack of the Swarm, Fate of the Fifth, there's like an 8-page article that's basically a player's guide for the whole AP. And fans loved it. And so we've made that normal now. So you're going to find one of those in Fly for Your Die too. Like there's an Edge Corp personnel.
Oh, great!
That like walks you through it. Welcome to Edge Corp. Now you're flying on the edge, right? And like that, PR lingo. But it's also got a company catalog with some stuff in it, like gear that you will find useful in the AP. And there's a new archetype and new theme. Couple of new themes, I think. But so then we're doing that for the Rise of the Vast as well. We'll have a player's guide, but in addition, we'll also be fleshing out the other planets in the system. So like it's in the Waydana system, right? So it's like Waydana 1 through Waydana 6, and I think the players land on Waydana 4. So I've hired a bunch of authors to help me kind of flesh out all those planets and create like ecology, aliens that live on all of them, and so it's going to be. You won't visit all these planets as part of the AP, but if you ever want to sandbox it, we're going to give you all the tools for that. So all those worlds will be fully developed locations, and the GM will have like some monsters and some plots to throw at you. And
this is for Horizons, right?
Yeah. And if Owlcat ever comes in and makes a video game out of it, we're going to give them all the content they want, right?
Dude, please.
Please, I want a Starfinder video game so bad. Yeah.
Me too. We have more stuff coming that I can't talk about. I believe the precog playtest has been announced.
I was going to ask if you could tell us anything about the precog.
Well,
no info is available.
It's a spellcasting class. Obviously, Thurston Hillman, who's the he wrote it. He designed it first. Of course, then it went to Joe Pacini, our lead designer, and we're getting feedback on it from playtesters so that we can make it better. But he had some really great ideas on it, and we haven't really tapped the psychic very much in terms of classes. The mystic has a lot of telepathic spells.
Right.
They've kind of cornered our telepathy zone. But we haven't tapped this idea of a precog. And I almost wonder if some of that has to do with the Pathfinder kind of Lost Omens thing. Like this fact that Pathfinder's big deal has always been like, well, prophecy doesn't work anymore. Prophecy is broken, so you can't see the future. Well, is that still true in Starfinder? Maybe, but that created some really interesting ideas, and also we've come up with some really great concepts for how this character class is going to look. We've got a great iconic that I can't wait for the players to see. We want to expand the cast of the iconics to make them more representative of our players.
Right.
We're going to use the precog to do that. So it's really exciting. You'll get the draft pretty soon.
I think it's like next week even, or maybe 2 weeks it comes out. But
you'll get the draft.
Is it a wisdom caster? Can you say that? Are you allowed to tell us if it's a wisdom caster or not?
I don't know. I've been kind of heads down, on Fly for Your Die, but I don't think so. But don't put any money.
Yeah, don't quote you on that. Okay, right. I got you. Well, Jason, I think we're about at the end of our time. I think we've actually run a little over, man. But it's just been so great having you. Well, we've really enjoyed talking to you about all this stuff. You're a wealth of knowledge.
The moral of the story is I do not shut up. Right.
Well, that's great. That'll lead us to a part 2 of this when we can talk about all the things that you can't talk about. Right.
Yeah. Well, I have stuff. I'm writing adventure paths that have not been announced. I'm contributing to hardbacks that haven't been announced. So there's a lot. Yeah. And we're in fact, I just got tentative approval for my idea, which I have not officially wrote a pitch or an outline for yet, of the adventure path after Horizons.
Oh, nice.
So I have but I have an elevator pitch for it. I have like a 3-sentence elevator pitch, which got approved. So
nice.
And I can't talk to you about it for like a year.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, we'll have you back to talk about that later.
Yeah,
for sure.
I've had a real pleasure today, and I would love to come back anytime. You guys are great.
Yeah,
Awesome.
Jason Tondro, thank you so much. Where can people find you if they want to get in touch with you online or anything?
Yeah. Find me on Twitter at Dr. Comics. It's all one word, DoctorComics. And of course, I'm at Paizo, jason.tondro at Paizo.com. And I also, when we do like PaizoCon, where I talk with you guys, I love to do kind of ask me anything Q&A threads. I did 4 days worth at PaizoCon.
Yeah, we talked to you a lot. We asked a lot of questions about Fly For Your Dive in. Yeah, for sure.
And I love that. Like interacting with the players is what this game is all about. So yeah, please, if you reach out to me, if I can help with something or you just want to shoot the shit, yeah, please do.
Awesome.
Thank you
Great.
for your time, Jason.
Thanks so much for coming on. Jason Tondro, ladies and gentlemen. We'll catch you on the next one.
Yeah, we'll see you.